Good evening and welcome to another Live at Mom. That's not really live at Mom. Tonight is a very special virtual event, and for various reasons, we are broadcasting from home. I'm so happy you could join us here tonight from wherever you may be. The great thing about these virtual events is that we get to welcome people from all over the country, even the world, and I hope that we can bring some joy into your home tonight with the great music of Curtis Taylor. I want to start by thanking tonight's sponsor of our program, the City of Carlsbad Arts Office. It's thanks to their generous grant that we are able to offer this stream concert for free while simultaneously covering our costs and supporting the artists. I'm so proud that the Arts Office has chosen us to be an ambassador for the arts. And I want to thank you for also supporting the arts and live music. It might be a little while, but we will be back stronger than ever, I promise. So Curtis Taylor was originally booked for an in-person concert in March, and he was one of the first events that we had to cancel due to the pandemic. And I'll never forget when I called Curtis to tell him we were postponing the show. He saw my name on his caller ID and he said, "Say it isn't so, Jillian. All my gigs are getting canceled." So here we are, over 6 months later, doing this virtual event with award-winning trumpeter Curtis Taylor. Tonight's format is going to be a bit different than past Live at Mom's. Curtis recorded this set for us live, just for the Museum of Making Music and for you. And to make sure everyone was safe during these crazy times, it was also recorded outside. So tonight we're going to be taking a few breaks throughout the evening to talk to Curtis live. He's joining us here on this stream. He'll take questions and comments from the audience, so pop them into the YouTube chat or to the Facebook chat, and we'll do our best to relay them to Curtis throughout the evening. All right, let's get started. Curtis, I'm going to have you kick off the show with a few words about the theme of tonight's program. Thank you.
Jillian, thank you so much. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be able to present some music in such a chaotic, crazy time in our world. I believe music is healing. And so I just want to thank the Museum of Making Music for agreeing to present music during this time, because you guys are really doing a service to the world. So thank you so much. Tonight we are focusing the music that you will hear. Many will call it music from the Great American Songbook, but it's primarily going to feature composers that are African American, with the exception of one song that you'll probably hear tonight, Invitation, which was by a Polish film composer by the name of Bronislaw Kaper. Everyone else you're going to hear some Duke Ellington, you're going to hear some Miles Davis, some Thelonious Monk, Benny Golson, Duke Ellington. I mean, just, all the greats, African American composers of the world, and they contributed so much to this music, and it's an honor and a privilege to present this. Of course, you'll be hearing from myself on trumpet, but along with me, you'll be hearing from the collective talents of Mr. Rick Rowe at the keyboard and Noah Jackson on the bass. And if you haven't heard these guys, you are in for a treat. They are world-class, phenomenal musicians. Have played with some of everybody all over the world. So take this time to Google them, support them, support their CDs, support the museum. And of course, if you like what you hear, you like to take some music home with you, you're more than welcome to visit my website, curtistaylor.net, where there is a myriad of opportunities to get involved. So thank you. Well, yeah, that was fun, huh? Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. I see some comments. I see Marie Freitas is on. Says sounds great. Thank you so much. Maris is on. How you doing? T Chow, thank you. I guess so. We got a few different pages going. We got the Museum of Making Music's page. We got my artist page, and then we got YouTube. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in. You're listening to the Curtis Taylor Trio featuring Mr. Rick Rowe at the keyboard and Noah Jackson on the bass, and of course, yours truly, Curtis Taylor on the trumpet. The first composition you heard was by Miles Davis and Victor Feldman, and that one was entitled Seven Steps to Heaven. And the second number was by the great Benny Golson, and that one was entitled Along Came Betty. And the next piece that you're going to hear, I'm actually not sure what they have queued up next. It's going to be a surprise. Oh, this one is by the Polish film composer that I mentioned earlier, Bronislaw Kaper. And this one is entitled Invitation. Enjoy.
was a good start for the evening. Thank you, Curtis. I just was wondering, watching this video, what was it like recording this outside?
It was fun. You never know what you're gonna get exactly when you're outside. You don't know if a neighbor's gonna be running a lawnmower or if there's gonna be an energetic kid that runs by and wants to be a part of the thing. But actually, these have been really great. I guess we've been blessed to choose pretty good times to record. So these have been fun. And maybe people might be wondering like why the trio. Um, Honestly, if you look at the shot, we just don't really safely have another way to like kind of fit another guy in the shot. So this kind of trio, drummerless trio kind of just evolved and as a kind of a way to be safe. And so I like the fact that we can still bring the music to the people. We can be safe while we're doing it, and yeah, so it's fun.
Oh, great. I could not imagine recording outside. I imagine some of those things happened, a lawnmower and children running around.
Yes, they did.
Yes. Was it your child or a different child?
No, a neighbor. Sometimes you get passersby, and then they're, after a song, you may actually hear, if you listen real hard after a few songs, you may actually hear a little bit of clapping or a person saying, thank you, so that's always cool.
That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah.
So the first thing you played was a Miles Davis piece. I was just wondering who some of your musical influences are as a musician.
Wow. First off the bat, funny, one of my musical influences, of course, I'm familiar with Miles Davis, but I can't really call him a huge influence, at least in a direct way, because he influenced so many musicians indirectly. Probably he is still one of my influences. But right off the bat, the first person that comes to mind is Freddie Hubbard. I love Freddie Hubbard. I mean, to me, Freddie is the quintessential trumpeter. When in his era and still, I mean, you can put on some of those records and what he was able to get to musically and what he was able to do on the horn. You're talking about, from a, a technical standpoint, from a musicality standpoint, from a harmonic standpoint, rhythmic, his funk sensibilities. Toward the latter part of his career, he was playing more funky, accessible music, and so you could kind of see him as a chameleon of sorts. And then kind of the newer folks, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the late great Roy Hargrove, who passed in 2018, and a gentleman who's still very much alive and putting the scene on his back, so to speak, Mr. Nicholas Payton. Both of those guys are two huge influences. And then, from there, contemporaries of mine, I currently have a playlist that I curate on Spotify called the Current State of Black Music. And it just kind of features young musicians that are contemporaries of mine, and just kind of what the music sounds like today. So people like Christian Sands, Logan Richardson, good buddy of mine, Theron Brown, from Cleveland. And so just a whole host of musicians. So, I'm just trying to keep my ear open as a musician would, and, whatever I like and gravitate to, that's what I'm listening to.
How can you find that playlist if you wanted to check it out?
You could just search it. I believe you could just, search the current state of Black music, I believe. Yeah. And
Cool.
Spotify.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of other great musicians, I know that you played on Gregory Porter's Grammy winning album Liquid Spirit. It's produced by Kamau Kenyatta, who's a wonderful friend of the museum, musician here in San Diego. So, what was like working with someone like Kamau and recording such a special album?
Well, man, it's kind of hard to like do this succinctly. I mean, Kamal's like got so much that you could say about him. If anybody knows him, he's an iceberg. I mean, you can talk to this guy for years and still learn new things about him or who he knows or what he's done in his life. And he's such a humble person. You know, many will probably even refer to him as a genius, although I'm sure he wouldn't refer to himself. But just he knows so much about the music, and he knows so much about you know, what sounds good, and so it's just great. He's been a mentor to me, and he was the reason that I came out to San Diego, and the reason why I even, you know you, Jillian, and know BJ and all the folks at the museum, and my involvement in them. So he's been instrumental in a lot of great things that have happened in my career, namely recording with Gregory Porter. But through him, I've gotten an opportunity to record with Ed Mata, the Brazilian artist, and on that record, we recorded with Patrice Rushen, and I mean, just so many albums that we recorded. We just recently released the album with Paulette McWilliams, a great vocalist who sung with Marvin Gaye and Luther Vandross, and we're working on another project that'll be out soon. So I mean, it's just I have so much to say, but it's, you know, it was an honor and a privilege to record on Gregory Porter's Liquid Spirit and his first album, Water. And of course, Liquid Spirit won the Grammy. It was his junior release, and it was, you know, it was great. I mean, the music was music for the people. His voice and lyrics, are very, very powerful, and I think they tell the story of a human condition. And so, whenever you do that on that level, I think you know you're gonna be successful. So,
Mm.
me being a trumpeter, I'm not, you know, I can't do that vocally, but I am trying to do that with my music. I'm trying to communicate a message like that. So,
Wow, I love that. Thank you. I think we're going to get started with some more music here. Just a reminder, if you have any questions for Curtis, any comments you'd like to relay, just put them in the YouTube or the Facebook chat. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, we're going to head into our second chunk of music here.
That was Horace Silver's Piece, one of my favorite ballads to play. I really love that. That was a pretty one. We had some fun too recording that. The next one, the next piece that you're about to hear is one that we had to do because we have a Thelonious Monk aficionado amongst the group, and that is Mr. Rick Rowe. If anybody knows Rick Rowe or has spent more than 30 seconds talking to him, Thelonious Monk will probably come up somewhere in there. If I'm not mistaken, he came pretty close or won Thelonious Monk competition back maybe in the early 90s or something like that. But I don't know anybody who knows more about Monk personally. So we're going to feature him, and this one is Thelonious Monk's composition entitled Evidence.
I'm having a hard time keeping still here in my chair, bouncing around to this music. It's really wonderful. I hope you all are enjoying this show. We're just going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's virtual concert with Curtis Taylor. It's an honor to be able to share Curtis's amazing talent with you. We just want to take a quick moment to again thank the City of Carlsbad Cultural Arts Office for their generous support of tonight's program. The grant that they provided to the Museum of Making Music helps support the wonderful artists that you're hearing tonight, helps support the museum and our programs, and allows us to offer this concert to you for free. Currently, the Museum of Making Music is closed for a major renovation. It's an exciting project that is refining the story we tell and how we tell it. To learn more, please take a moment to visit www.museumofmakingmusic/renovation. There, you'll have the opportunity to learn about the scope of the renovation project and all the new and exciting things in store. While there, consider making a donation to help support the Museum of Making Music. Every gift, no matter how large or small, makes a big difference at the museum. Thanks again for joining us for tonight's concert. And now, back to the show.
So, Curtis, your most recent album, Snapshot, came out in 2019. It features a few original tunes of your own. Can you tell us a little bit about the tracks and the inspiration for your album?
Yeah, what's so great about the album is one, the reason why I decided to call it Snapshot is it was an oral snapshot of, a live performance that we did. It was recorded at the World Stage in LA in Leimert Park, if anybody's familiar with the great World Stage in Los Angeles, California. And coincidentally, we actually recorded that album the night that Roy Hargrove passed. It was November 2nd, 2018. We didn't know it at the time, but definitely his spirit was in the building. And so I think it was only fitting to, just go ahead and put that down on wax. It was great to, the live experience is something that's very special. And I think we're really seeing that now in the midst of COVID. I know I, as a performer, miss it very much. I'm sure you, the audience is, I'm sure you miss being able to come out and hear live music in person, and you want things to be normal again. So, I wanted to capture that experience and capture that feeling and put it down on wax, so to speak, or CD or streaming, however you consume music now. And, three compositions on the album are of my own pen. And, one is entitled Hashtag Theme. Another original composition is entitled Motion. And then another one that's very special to me. Also in 2018, I was blessed with a son, and he is 2. He just had a birthday in September 14th. And the last composition on that album is entitled Cam's Dilemma. His name is Kamari, and we call him Cam for short. So I guess his dilemma right now is, making sure he makes his nap times and stays asleep. So I've told Jillian and BJ I've been feverishly watching the baby Cam here, making sure that he's still down. But yeah, so it's a very special album. We also recorded John Coltrane's Naima. Um, we recorded Cedar Walton's Bolivia, which is the opening track. And then we actually covered Music Soul Trial, a great composition of his entitled So Beautiful. And he's a phenomenal R&B artist, if you're not familiar with Music Soul Child. So it's only 6 tracks, but it is an experience. And I'm due for another album soon. So you guys got to keep your eyes and ears peeled. There'll be something coming out soon.
I think it's time. I think during this time you should use this opportunity to bring us some new music.
You heard it here, folks.
Something we haven't really talked about is your work as an educator. You teach at Cal State San Marcos. How is your approach to jazz as an educator? What is your approach, and how has it been different teaching virtually during the pandemic?
Well, like many, I had to pivot. When COVID broke, literally overnight, we went from in-person classes to virtual. And so there was just so much technology to learn. You know, how many people knew about Zoom? Raise your hand. You know, before this. So, I mean, you know, of course, you know, people knew about it, but I mean, nowhere near the amount of people know about Zoom that know now. So, you know, just learning the technology was a big part of it. And, you know, teaching music specifically is very difficult, especially when you're teaching something like an ensemble class or class that kind of requires, by definition, that you meet with people, you gather with people and play music together. Teaching lecture courses aren't that much different because you're, you know, you're sharing information, and with the share screen feature and the ability, you know, the technology, I think, you know, doing a lecture is not that different than being in class. It might actually be preferable to some people because you can view a recording at your own leisure and, you know, things of that nature. But definitely the ensemble piece has been quite difficult. So we've been trying to utilize different technologies that will allow us to record and kind of put audio tracks separately, you know, using programs like BandLab or Soundtrap, or, you know, there's a whole bunch of different programs where we can kind of aggregate these individual students' audio and put them together to try to make it sound like we played together. But what I've done as an educator is, in this medium, in this virtual medium, is I tried to shift the focus to improving my students' musicianship. So, you know, obviously we can't do as much ensemble work because we can't, the technology doesn't really exist for us to play on a platform like this simultaneously. But what I can do is I can go about giving the students the tools that they need to improve their individual musicianship. And so that's where I've tried to, you know, spend my time and focus.
It's interesting. It's got to be strange, but sounds like you're
Very.
doing a really great job. So thank you for all the work that you do with the future of jazz.
Thank you.
So our last two tunes of the night are by Duke Ellington. Can you tell us a little bit about these pieces and set us up for the finale of the evening?
Okay. Well, both of these pieces feature elements of the blues. One is actually a blues, and the other one is not a blues, but it is certainly bluesy. And you know, the blues is one of those things that is indigenous to this music, and I think you will be remiss if you play any concert um, of this music and you don't include the blues and the blues aesthetic and the elements. So that's what we wanted to do. We want to make sure we leave everybody feeling good. And yeah, nothing does that like the blues, you know. It speaks to, um, you know, the average everyday. It speaks to the upper echelon. It speaks to the person in between. It speaks to everyone. So, you know, the blues is where it's at. That was Things Ain't What They Used to Be by Duke Ellington. And that is sure timely, right? The title of that song. Um, Before we get out of here tonight, I know you guys can see the lovely scenery in the background. The estate grounds, as I like to call them, that we recorded on, is the home of lovely Fonda Brewer. And I just want to make sure that before this live stream ends, that we thank her for allowing us to record in such a beautiful space. You guys are seeing maybe 1/3 or 1/4 of the entire backyard space that she has there, and it's always so great to record there, and it's always so serene and peaceful. And I've done several recordings there, and I love it. So I just thank you so much, Fonda. We love you. Thank you. The next piece that you'll hear, the final piece, is another Duke Ellington piece, and that one is entitled help me out here, BJ.
In a mellow tone.
In a Mellow Tone. There you go. I'm too young to have senior moments, but and that's why we got tech support here. We got BJ for tech support in my ear. In a Mellow Tone, and again, while it's not a blues, it definitely has the blues aesthetic all over it. So please enjoy In a Mellow Tone.
Well, that was a fun evening full of music. I hope it brought some joy into your home tonight. Just a few thank yous. I want to thank Curtis for being here. Curtis, you're amazing. I hope Cam is still sleeping, made it through the night.
Me too.
To support Curtis or learn more about him or buy his music, visit curtistaylor.net. I know he'd love to see you there. Get on the email list, buy a CD, whatever you can do to help support the music and the arts. I want to thank BJ Morgan, who you guys have not seen or I don't think heard tonight. He's the man behind the stream. He is responsible for the video stream and the audio stream and camera work. And I couldn't do it without you. I'm proud to work with you. So thank you, BJ, for all your hard work. And then I just want to thank you, our audience. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed this show. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, and we will see you here soon.